Good morning. I am calling to order our regularly scheduled meeting of Committee of the Whole. My name is Elizabeth Glidden. I'm the chair of this committee, and I'm joined by council members Reich, Andrew Johnson, Yang, Quincy, Warsami, Goodman, and Palmisano, and we are a quorum of this committee and able to do the business of the committee. We have two items that are on consent. One is a referral of an ordinance to staff regarding boards and commissions, and this would be to update that ordinance, and as it gets more fleshed out, we will of course be coming back to the council to have more discussion about that. Item number 2 is our council and standing committee meeting calendar. Sometimes I will say this is an item that generates conversation, so if anyone would like to remove it or have a question, I want to make sure we have that opportunity. We do have one person in queue, Councilmember Goodman. And I'll just let everybody know I haven't been able to get on my computer, so I am looking for little red tags.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to thank the clerk's office, in particular Casey and others who have been super easy to work with on this and extremely sensitive to an issue that I have raised a number of times over my tenure here, which is holding or conducting official city business on hugely important, maybe just a few religious Jewish and Muslim holy days. And ironically, this year, the holiest of Jewish holidays falls within one day of one of the holiest of Muslim holidays in September, so there's 2 days in a row. It's been perplexing to me for a long period of time how we would have a day off for Christmas or we would have a day off for Easter, and then people would come to me as the resident Jew or non-Christian, tell us what the date is, Lisa. And this year, I think Casey's office really took it as their job to try to figure out how to make this happen, and I'm really appreciative. I'm sure I speak for others who celebrate those holidays and would not be working on those days, that it's almost uncomfortable to have to tell someone we can't go to a meeting because of Yom Kippur, for example. This would make it clear that there's one day of all of the days of the year that we wouldn't conduct city business, and so I appreciate the clerk's attention to this matter.
Thank you very much. We do have another council member in queue, and I just want to also note we have been joined by council members Bender and Fry. Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to recognize and thank Council President Johnson for her work as well with this calendar, specifically relating to being able to add Islamic holidays to it as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I'm not seeing other comments, so with that, I will move approval of both of these items, the referral of the ordinance to staff and then the approval of the 2015 Council and Standing Committee meeting calendar. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in approval, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, and those items are approved. Next, we have our one discussion item, which is regarding a smoke-free environment policy. I will note that this is an update to an existing policy, and as Ms. Ferguson is here, I'm going to ask if she wanted to introduce the topic and then have her staff, Mr. Bernardi, or I don't know what you want to do. So whoever is here to present, please come forward.
Delegated to me.
All right. Mr. Bernardi.
Good morning, Councilmember Glidden, members of the Committee of the Whole. My name is Chuck Bernardi. I work in the Human Resources Department. And what you have before you is the proposed smoke-free environment policy. And as Councilmember Gooden said, this will replace a council resolution that was passed in 1993. We've done our due diligence on this policy and procedures, I believe. We've worked closely with the Attorney's Office, the Health Department, Department Leadership, Labor, to craft the policy and procedures before you today. We're requesting a number of things, rescinding the council resolution that I referenced, replacing that and approving this proposed smoke-free environment policy, receiving and filing the attached procedures that have been developed to support the policy, direct city departments and staff to carry out their roles and responsibilities as defined in the City of Minneapolis smoke-free environment procedures, and direct the Human Resources Department to place the policy and procedures in the policy library. Two questions that came up during the executive committee were this proposed policy does not apply to City Hall. That would be something that the Building Commission would have to decide on. And also the proposed policy does not include smokeless tobacco. It does include now the It has been changed to comply with state law that now includes electronic cigarettes or electronic smoking devices. And that's all I have to say this morning.
All right, thank you very much. And again, I'll note I'm not on my computer, so if anyone has questions, just let me know. Any discussion on the policy? I'm not seeing any, so we have a number of actions then to take on this. One is to rescind the existing council resolution. Next, to replace and approve the smoke-free environment policy. Third, to receive and file the attached procedures that support the policy. Fourth, to direct city departments and staff to carry out their roles and responsibility as defined in the City of Minneapolis smoke-free environment procedures. And finally, to direct the Human Resources Department to place the policy and procedures in the policy library. So those are all the actions that support the update to our smoke-free environment policy that is before us today. And I will go ahead. Did I move it? I have moved this approval discussion. Seeing none, all in approval, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? That item is approved. And with that, thank you, Mr. Bernardi. We are done. Yep. And we now turn to reports of committees. And the first is the Claims Committee with that chair, Councilmember Goodman.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. There are 7 items on the Claims Committee agenda for approval today. Items number 1 through 6 are claims that the committee heard earlier this week, and all of which have been denied. Item number 7 is a resolution authorizing the folks in risk management to initiate litigation on subrogation rights for city property. This means when city property is damaged, currently we don't get repaid even if there is insurance money that is potentially available to be repaid. And this would allow our city attorney, working in conjunction with the folks at risk management, to try to seek repayments. For example, if a semaphore is hit or other city property. So those are items 1 through 7. I'm happy to answer any questions about the claims agenda.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions for Councilmember Goodman? I'm not seeing any. So next we have Community Development and Regulatory Services with Councilmember Goodman again.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. There are 12 items that we're bringing forward for approval tomorrow. Item number 1 is a bond issuance. 2 is approval of a revocation of a rental license. 3 are the regular beer, gambling, and wine applications. 4 is a license settlement conference. 5 is reinstating a license for rental. 6 is authorizing exclusive development rights for Baraka Plaza for a mixed-use project there. 7 is extending the exclusive development rights at the Hawthorne Eco Village Apartments project. 8 is giving permission for the City of Brooklyn Park and Hennepin County to reuse some NSP money. We're in a partnership with them. Item 9 is probably one of the largest items on our agenda. This is the allocation of our 2015 low-income housing tax credits. There was a very fierce competition, 12 projects, only 3 were able to be funded, and we are making preliminary reservations for those 3 projects. I'll just note that they're listed below. Item number 10 is authorizing a 5-year extension of the maturity date with a bond project we have at Symphony Place. 11 is moving forward to the tax increment financing district for the West Broadway Education and Career Center, otherwise known as 800 West Broadway. And item number 12 is allocating a little over $6 million in affordable housing trust fund projects to the 3 low-income housing tax credit projects, plus a number of other projects. Item 13 is the fall 2014 Brownfield grant round. These are grants from Hennepin County and the state. With that, I'm happy to answer questions on items 1 through 13 up for approval tomorrow.
Thank you. Questions for Councilmember Goodman? I'm not seeing any. So next we have Health, Environment, and Community Engagement with that chair, Councilmember Gordon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Health, Environment, and Community Engagement Committees will be bringing 2 items forward for approval. Both of them are ordinances. The first is Grocery Store and Specialty Food Stores Ordinance, and the second is a Short-Term Food Permits Ordinance. And I'm happy to stand for questions.
All right, questions for Councilmember Gordon? I am not seeing any. Next, we have Intergovernmental Relations. I'll note that that committee was chaired, as I was absent, by Councilmember Kano, who is the vice chair. She is absent today due to being ill, and so I'm going to give that report right now. We have 1 item. It is to amend the federal policies agenda for 2015 to include language relating to combating antibiotic-resistant bacteria, and also to include language relating to waters of the United States. And not seeing questions on that. Next, we turn to Public Safety, Civil Rights, and Emergency Management with Councilmember Yang.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. We will be bringing 3 items for approval on Friday. The first item is to authorize an amendment to the Employee Strategies Contract for provision of workplace culture change management facilitation services at 911, increasing the amount by $21,000. And the second item is to authorize a rental agreement with Props on Wheels for use of a police department mobile command vehicle in a television show for a fee of $750. Third item is to authorize a contract agreement with Hennepin County for the MPD to continue to provide police detox van services for 2015 and 2017, with the contract amount in 2015 for $237,200.
Thank you for that report. Next, we have Transportation and Public Works. With that committee's chair, Councilmember Reich.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. The committee will be forwarding 9 items for the full council's consideration on Friday. Item 1 is the public sidewalk and repair construction assessment levy. Item 2 is the snow and ice removal from public sidewalk assessments. Item 3 is the sanitary sewer service availability charge assessments. Item 4 is an alley easement project. The following items we referred to the Ways and Means Committee: LaSalle Avenue Street Reconstruction Project, and ordering that work to proceed. The Hay Northwest Franklin Hall Lynn Park Area Street Resurfacing Project, and forwarding that work to proceed. Clean Water Grant Fund Program, and then item 8 is the Van White Memorial Boulevard Bridge and Roadway Project, and the money's approval for that. And then item 9, the final item, is the Nicollet Mall Redesign and Reconstructed Project, and that is authorizing negotiation and execution of a contract with SEH for pre-construction and construction management services for the Nicollet Mall Redesign and Reconstruction Project, and negotiation and execution of a contract with Shenahone for assessment and calculation for the project. And I will stand for questions, Madam Vice President.
All right, questions for Councilmember Reich? Not seeing any. Next, we have Ways and Means with Councilmember Quincy.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. There are 12 items that will be for your consideration on Friday. The first is a legal settlement. The second item are 2 waivers for conflict of interest with legal services firms. The next item would be a authorizing execution of a contract for building benchmark and disclosure contracts with Center for Energy and Environment. The fifth item is going to be accepting a grant from Minneapolis Pollution Control Agency. The sixth item is authorizing execution of a consulting pool contracts for IT staff augmentation. Seventh item will be a Minneapolis 311 upgrade and refresh contract with Third Wave for 6 months for that support. Next item would be the Environmental Services Research Institute's professional services extension of a contract for IT professional services, as well as a authorizing extension of a contract for our automated pawn system. And the next item is approving tentative agreement with Police Officers Federation of Minneapolis and a tentative agreement with Minneapolis Professional Employee Association for 1 year and 36 months, respectively. The 11th item is actually one of note. We're going to be executing a contract with Wells Fargo for provision of banking services, and we added a couple of staff directions that are worth noting on going forward, working with Wells with the intent of building a framework for community reinvestment principles and goals, all consistent with the items in our responsible banking ordinance. And the final item is the execution of a contract with OpenGov for provision of web hosting and display of city financial data for a 2-year period, and that's financial data online access. Happy to stand for any questions.
Thank you. I think we have a question from Councilmember Gordon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And this is about item 11. I really appreciate seeing the staff directions, and I was curious about the second staff direction, which mentioned a request for proposals for the stored value card and the smart safe services. I was just curious if we know when that RFP will be going out. Is there a timeline on that? It's not mentioned in the staff correction.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. Councilmember Gordon, there is not a timeline for those proposals and seeking those. We wanted to establish some overall investment goals. Those items that you identified were not included in the RFP, or actually they were pulled out of the RFP that we're executing the contract for. So those are new programs that we felt could be taken up outside of the regular banking services agreement that we're entering into.
So I'm going to guess it could be 6 months or a year.
I would expect we're going to be waiting for a set of goals to be established, and that there may not even be RFPs, but we want to make sure that there's a fulsome discussion about community reinvestment goals when we're taking up those kind of services for the city.
All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I'm not seeing other questions. So finally, we have zoning and planning with that committee's chair, Councilmember Bender.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. We have just one item to forward from the Zoning and Planning Committee. This is to deny the appeal filed by the property owner of the Lerner Building of 3 conditions of approval from the Heritage Preservation Commission when they granted an after-the-fact approval for unpermitted window replacement on that building in the Warehouse Historic District.
Questions for Councilmember Bender? I am not seeing any. I do not see any announcements that need to be made. So with that, I believe we have concluded with our business for today, and we are adjourned. Thank you all very much.